Another day, another lame dinosaur outing. Kenji is unimpressed to say the least. After all, he knows this park like the back of his hand. He probably knows it even more than his counselors Dave and Roxy. Or so he tells himself. Rather than fawn over the baby dinosaurs like his easily impressed peers, Kenji waits until everyone else is sufficiently distracted while waiting to get their feeding supplies. Then turns away and decides to do some solo exploration. His go-to route is to take the tunnels. After all, nothing is more VIP than navigating the park from underground. He's navigated to this entry point dozens of times. It's just second nature for him. At this point, he has wandered quite some distance, but it's no matter. Once he's underground, he'll be able to find his way back easily. Oddly enough, when he does find the spot he was looking for, it turned locked. Just his luck. Kenji's initial reaction is one of annoyance. He wasn't prepared for this day to get even lamer. If he had to walk back to the camp, he'd at least hoped it would be shaded from the hot sun. This annoyance begins to evolve into a panic as he hears some roars that aren't quite as far off in the distance as he would have hoped. He picks up his pace from a leisurely stroll to a purposeful power walk. The panic escalates as he looks down and sees some dinosaur tracks that are significantly larger than the ones he'd seen at the feeding enclosure earlier. Now running, he realizes he's lost his way, both due to the lack of familiarity provided by the tunnels and the fear that has fully replaced his boredom. Before he can get back on track, he sees the culprit of both the tracks and the earlier roars, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is now far too close for comfort. Fully aware of his athletic limitations, Kenji acknowledges his inability to outrun the predator if things were to escalate to a chase, so he weighs his options. In a fit of desperation, Kenji sees a nearby ditch as an opportunity for shelter and jumps in without a second thought. What feels like an hour later, the T-Rex retracts out of sight and earshot, and Kenji sheepishly emerges and slowly makes his way back to the feeding enclosure. This was not exactly the underground adventure he'd had in mind when he veered off.